Techter is focused on applying Shifta and deband to buff other member stats and utilization. They use wand and Talis weapons, and also have access to techniques. This video is of course focused on the skill tree, but without further ado, let's get into it. So this is what the skill tree would look like when first coming into it. We'll start on the top right side of the tree this time. So, slow landing charge slows down your fall speed when charging attacks. Like I mentioned in the previous video, all classes except for fighter have this skill, as fighter's skill is replaced with skip arts instead. Rest of Field deploys a wide AoE to nearby players, healing them within the range. Force also has this skill. Weak Element Amplifier and Awake Isle increases your Photon Blast charge rate on bosses with elements. You can boost the value if you match the boss's elemental weakness. Bartablot is a passive where if you attack with uncharged ice techniques, you'll charge the Bartablot up to 2 stacks. Once you see 6 icicles on the enemy side, charge your ice technique and hit them to deal bonus damage. Zoneclad is much the same. Attack with uncharged lightning techniques to charge the stack. You'll see a ring around your character. Once ready, charge your lightning technique and attack to do bonus damage, and vice versa. Alright, so here's where the main focus for Techter comes in. First we got Shifta in deband. This is an active that will raise your attack and defense stats. Just like Rest of Field, this active deploys an AoE buffing players in range. It will look like a mix of red and blue, red for Shifta and blue for deband. Shifta deband comes in with 6 parts. Shifta deband party share, which lets your party members receive the buff regardless of its range. Shifta effect advantage increases damage on down enemies and also increases the chance of stunning enemies. I'm pretty sure that's what they mean by down factor, but I'm not sure. And deband increases PP recovery and ailment resistance. The Shifta deband active also has the ability to give the buff on revived players. I actually struggled to find a party full of techers, so yeah, I'll just Photoshop the party slots with me, my character names in there, and yeah. Anyways. And it even felt awkward to try to actually die for the purpose of this skill. So moving on. So if you notice getting revived by another player, also seeing the Shifta deband buff pop up on above your HP and PP box, the icon looks like an up arrow with the blue and red color in it. That means a Techter revived you with the buff. I'm not sure if this applies to people outside of the party, but I think I've seen it happen a couple of times where I die and a third-party Techter revives with the buff applied. But I'm certain it's just for party members only if you have a Techter with you. And of course, Shifta deband extension, as the name states, it just extends the timer of the buff. So now we're focusing on the wand, which is the main weapon for Techter. We have wand levers. This is also an active skill where you have no knockback in between your normal attacks. Plus, if you normal attack while about to get hit, you'll reflect it back. And I think it will trigger a Photonic Fury, which is a little gust of wind every time you attack with the wand. So wand guard reflection triggers a Photonic Fury if successfully guarded with a weapon action. Like I said before, the little gust of wind every time you normal attack. And yeah. This is similar to Force's bullet counter. And this leads into wand element charge. Just like Force's bullets, your wand elements will change if you use any charge techniques. You'll notice a glimmer of light at the tip of your wand, representing the element you're currently using. It is also color coded, so it's easier to determine what element you're using. So if it glows red, you're using fire. If it glows blue, you're using ice. And if it glows purple, you're using lightning. Your Photonic Fury, which is triggered when you guard, will also change color depending on your current element. You'll see an explosion at the enemy side. Like I mentioned earlier, just like Force's bullet change, your Photonic Fury will change. And I provided screenshots to each element. Red is fire, blue is ice, and purple is lightning, etc, etc. Wand element revoke triggers if you hold the weapon action to call off the element. The glimmer of light on the tip of your wand will disappear and you'll return to non-element damage. Wand parry counter triggers if you normal attack after guarding with a weapon action. You'll turn into a bright sphere ball and rush up for a normal attack counter. And wand parry counter advance adds a little shockwave after you do a normal attack after your counter. So the next 3 skills are Talis related. They're pretty much the same thing, so you're gonna see reused clips from my Force guide video. So yeah, I'm gonna cover them again here in this video too, just for the sake of it, because it's inside the skill tree too. Before I get into it, here's something to note though. If you're doing either Force main or Techter sub, or Techter main and Force sub, you don't need both Talis skills in both trees to use them. And it'll save you points that way too if you decide to do either or. And the same thing goes for the rest AoE passive. Anyways, moving on to the Trinket Capacitor. It is active for Talis weapons where you charge it up by attacking with the Talis. And once charged, you can attack with it, spawning talismans and firing towards them. Talis Bloom Revoke reverts your Talis PAs back to normal, so that you can do normal technique casting. And Floating Pillbox involves your weapon action. If you move, you'll spawn a talisman attacking one enemy at a time, but if you stay idle and use the weapon action, it will attack multiple enemies in its range. And that's about it for the Techter skill tree. If you find this guide helpful and helped you better understand Techter, leave a like, show some support, sub to the channel, comment below what you think about Techter, and as always, happy grinding.